Cooking Innisfil. For today's recipe, we'll be making a sheet pan teriyaki pork with vegetables. So I have a few pork chops here, which I'll be using. And then for the vegetables, I'll be using a few of these large carrots, 1/2 of a head of cauliflower, and 1 broccoli crown. Now, this can be served just as is, or you can serve the pork chops and veggies over some rice noodles or rice, which is what we'll be doing today. And we'll also be making our own teriyaki sauce for this, but it's super simple, so we'll start with that. We'll need 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of grated ginger, 2 cloves of minced garlic, and then we'll combine that with water and cornstarch. In this small frying pan at medium heat, I'm gonna mix together 1 cup of water, 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce. If you want your teriyaki sauce to be a little bit sweeter, you can actually do 1/2 of a cup of water mixed with 1/2 of a cup of orange juice. And then to this, I'll add the grated ginger. That's about 1 tablespoon. And the 2 cloves of garlic. And the 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now I'll just mix this together for a couple minutes until the brown sugar is fully dissolved. I've turned the heat down a little bit so it's at low heat. And now this sauce looks really runny, so what we're gonna do is we're going to mix 1 part cornstarch with 1 part water. So this is 2 tablespoons each. And I'm just gonna mix them together so that they form like a thick liquid. To make sure I'm getting all of the cornstarch that's stuck in on the sides. And this is still not quite thick enough. We want it to be a little thicker than this, so I'm going to add a little bit more cornstarch to the mixture. Okay, so it looks like all of the brown sugar has dissolved. So I'll pour this in just a little bit at a time until it gets to the consistency that we want. Okay, so you can see the texture is already quite a bit more sauce-like and less watery. So I'm just gonna leave this on really low heat, or you can even turn the element or burner off, but leave the pan sitting on top, and it'll thicken just a little bit more as we prepare the vegetables. Now that the teriyaki sauce is done, I'll get started on the veggies. So I have the oven preheating to 375. And I'm just gonna cut the end off of the carrots and cut them into slices that are about 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch thick. Just like that. And these can go straight onto the tray. If you want to minimize the mess, you can put some parchment paper or a tin foil down on the tray, but you don't need to. And also, if the carrots you're using are very thick, you can cut these slices in half. That will just help them cook a little faster. So I'll do that with a few of my pieces. Okay. And then if you're using baby carrots, you can just cut them in half lengthwise, and that works totally fine as well. Okay, that's enough carrots, and I'm leaving some space along the end there because that's where the pork chops are gonna go. So next, I'll do the cauliflower. I'm just gonna cut it in half, like this. And then I'm gonna cut the white part off of the leaves and the stem. And I'll just cut this into large chunks. The leaves are edible, so you don't need to throw them out. You can save them to use in a stir fry or something. You can even bake them on a tray like this. We're just not going to be doing that in this recipe. I'm just roughly chopping them into bite-sized pieces. They don't have to be perfect. So I have them about this size. Some of them are mostly just stem. So I'll cut those a bit smaller because they'll take a bit longer to cook. Okay, and now I'm going to add these onto the tray as well. And finally, the broccoli. I'll cut the top part off so we have a lot of nice bite-sized florets. And then I'm actually going to use this stem on the tray as well. So I'm just going to cut it like this so there's pieces about that size. And then any large pieces, I'll cut in half. Okay, so now all of this will go on the tray. If you need to use 2 trays, that might actually be a good idea, so that everything cooks a little more evenly and you don't have to worry about stirring everything. And now I'm going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over top. Not like too much, just about a tablespoon or so. And in here I just have a little bit of salt and pepper, which I'll sprinkle over top as well. And I'm just gonna combine everything with my hands so that it's all evenly coated. And again, I'm gonna leave a bit of space on the side for the pork chops. Here I have my veggies spread out on the pan, and I'm going to add my pork chops to this side over here. If you'd like, you can drizzle olive oil and season them with salt and pepper as well, but I am just going to do the teriyaki sauce. So you can see it's nice thick consistency, and I'm just gonna drizzle it over top of everything. You can pour it straight out of the pan, but I wanna be a little more controlled with it. So I'll drizzle it across the veggies and some on the pork as well. And I'm gonna save a bit of mine for the end so that I can add it onto the rice noodles and the veggies when I'm serving it. Okay, so now this will go in the oven for about 30 minutes at 375. Now that the trays are in the oven, I'm going to prepare the rice noodles. So there's a few ways to prepare rice noodles, but I'm just going to do them in a pot on the stove. So I've boiled my water here and I just turned off the heat so the water has settled but is still really, really hot. And I'm just going to take a few of these squares of rice noodles. I'm not going to use the whole package. I think I'll just use 3 of the squares. And I'm just going to put them in the water. And I'm going to stir them around with the fork just to help the noodles separate from each other. And I'm just going to stir them and leave them soaking in the water for about 4 minutes until they're soft but still a little bit chewy. Now you can also prepare the rice noodles just by boiling a kettle of water and pouring the water over top of the rice noodles in a bowl. You don't need to serve this meal over rice or rice noodles, but I find it makes the meal a little bit more substantial and it goes a long way. Okay, so since my water is really, really hot, it looks like they're actually already pretty cooked. As you can see, they're no longer hard, they're fairly soft, and I think they'll still have a little bit of texture to them. They won't be falling apart. So now I'm just going to strain them and run some cold water over them quickly, and then I'll put them into a container with just a little bit of olive oil and mix them around. That will keep them from sticking to each other while we're waiting for the trays to finish. And since the rice noodles cook so quickly, you can start them like in the second half of everything cooking in the oven. All right, so here I have my rice noodles ready and my tray is out of the oven, so I'll serve it up. I'm just gonna take some of the rice noodles. The olive oil helped keep them from clumping together too much, but they're still a little bit sticky, so that's okay. And I'm gonna top it with my veggies. Oh, and they look so good. And one of these pork chops, I'll just put on the side. And then I'll add a little bit more teriyaki sauce on top. And there we have it, our sheet pan teriyaki pork with vegetables served over rice noodles. I hope you guys enjoy.